On this episode of the Red and Gold Report, we're diving back into the Tyreek Hill trade. Yes, we've had a few days of distance, a few days to maybe calm down from being so upset that we lost our star wide receiver in a trade. And I know that I made a video right after it happened, and I promised to dig a little deeper. Well, this is that video. We're digging a little deeper into this trade. Now, also, I got to mention, I'm wearing my Tyreek shirt for the very last time. And I get I get that it's ironic that he's throwing the deuces because now it's kind of like bye Kansas City, but I had to wear it one more time before, I give it to my kids as pajamas or something, okay? So, here's what I'm thinking on this trade. On paper, I know. I read people's tweets, comments, I know on paper we all kind of are thinking this trade doesn't make much sense. So the question that I asked in my last video about the trade was, why did this happen? And in the days since the trade, we've actually gotten some answers. So I want to share those with you. And as I share those with you, take a second. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Also hit that little notification bell wherever I don't know where to point. Hit the buttons and you can get the best weekly news and updates on your Kansas City Chiefs brought to you on YouTube. So I want to read to you a couple of quotes. Instead of just giving you my opinions, I want to give you some actual quotes from Tyreek Hill, from his agent, because I think that these quotes point to why this trade happened. And there are two reasons that I believe that this trade of Tyreek Hill from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Miami Dolphins, two reasons why this franchise-altering trade happened for the Chiefs when it looks like on paper it didn't make a lot of sense for our red and gold. So the first issue of the two issues that created this trade was money. Okay, so here's some quotes from Hill's agent, Drew Rosenhaus. He said this: "We had actually worked out a restructure that the Chiefs had wanted a week before, and it really looked like we were going to work toward a contract extension." Okay, so it seems like the money was in place. So what in the world happened? Well, here's more from Tyreek Hill's agent. He said this: "Then the Adams deal really flipped everything upside down. The Chiefs, I think they had the foresight to see that Tyreek was in the last year of his contract and we weren't going to take a deal that wasn't better than Adams. So they recognized this would probably be their last year with Tyreek, and this was their opportunity to potentially rebuild at that position." So here's what these quotes tell us. The Chiefs had negotiated a plausible contract extension heading into Tyreek's last year of his contract, okay? But then when Devontae Adams was traded from the Green Bay Packers to the Raiders, Devontae signed that huge $140 million, $28 million a year deal. So Tyreek then demanded to be paid even more. And you know what? He had the same agent, so he had all the contract details. And and he just wasn't willing to take a contract that wasn't going to be bigger than that, wasn't going to be better than that, wasn't going to have a higher average salary than that. And the Chiefs were not willing to do that. They just weren't willing to pay Tyreek that sort of money. So instead of having a player who was going to hold out during the preseason or camp or whatever in the last year of the contract and be disgruntled, they decided to trade him away. This first reason is money, right? They decided to trade him away to give another team the opportunity to pay him the most money a wide receiver has ever made in the NFL. So that's the first issue, which we're going to come back to. He got traded because of money. Money, 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 money. Here's the second issue that got Tyreek Hill traded. It's where Tyreek Hill actually wanted to play. Okay, so I just wanted to read you a quote from Tyreek directly from his mouth during his first press conference as a Miami Dolphin. Now, a reporter asked him how close he was to selecting the New York Jets to be traded to. And here's how Tyreek answered. He said this: "How close was I? Who? The Jets? I knew I was going to pick Miami no matter what because I'm basically from here. I'm here all the time. This is home for me, for us." Now, that quote alone tells us so much. It tells us that the Chiefs allowed Tyreek to go pick where he was going to be traded to. It also tells us that it looks like Tyreek had long since decided that he was going to go to Miami, not back to Kansas City, right? Doesn't that sound like he kind of wanted to go to Miami instead of staying in Kansas City? He didn't want to go to New York. He wanted to go to Miami, not anywhere else. He chose Miami. That's the place he wanted to play. And it's kind of easy to figure out why. I mean, he has family down there. He trains down there in the off season. And the state has no stinking income tax. So this is the second issue. He just plain decided that he wanted to go play in Miami. So those are the two reasons that he got traded. As we get some days out, as we get more information, that's what happened. He wanted the most money ever. Chiefs weren't willing to give it to him. Issue number one. Issue number two, he just wanted to play in Miami. But here's the thing. On paper, if you just take this trade, it's a complete ripoff. An elite playmaker in the prime of his career traded away for a late first-round pick and a handful of other selections spread over the next 2 years, even though he had another year left on his contract, that doesn't make sense. So it makes us ask, still, kind of why did it happen? And at least from the information we have available, it did come down to these two issues of money and where he wanted to play. He wanted the biggest contract of all time, and he wanted to play in Miami, and so he got traded. Now, since the trade, there's been a lot of Chiefs fans online saying that because we got so little back for him, that Chiefs general manager Brett Veach doesn't know what he's doing, and he didn't know what he was doing with this trade, and he completely botched it. But here's the truth of this thing. Brett Veach knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He's a good GM. Here's the problem. I just philosophically disagree with him on both of these 2 points. So it's not that he doesn't know what he's doing. It's that a lot of us just share a different philosophy than him when it comes to personnel. So to the first point on money, I disagree with the philosophy of not paying this money. Now, I know nobody wants to pay a wide receiver $30 million a year. They're not a quarterback. But if you actually take the time to break down the contract that Miami gave to Tyreek, well, that's not really what ended up being signed. So this contract with Miami is a 4-year deal, okay? During the first year, it isn't just $30 million a year. During the first year, Tyreek only counts $6.5 million against the cap. But in the fourth year, the final year of the contract, it's a fake year. If he actually played it out, he would count an absurd $50 million against the cap that year. And he only has $5 million in guaranteed money left in that last year of the deal. So it essentially makes this a 3-year contract. And if you take out that last year and then put the guaranteed money back into the first 3 and you do a bunch of math, it is actually a 3-year deal worth $24 million a year, not a 4-year deal worth $30 million a year. You see where I'm going with this? I get that Brett Veach did not want to give him $30 million a year. I can get on board with that. But philosophically, I disagree because this wasn't a $30 million a year deal. It's a $24 million a year deal. And so there was a way to get this contract done. Miami found it. The Chiefs didn't. So I disagree with Veach on that. But then to the other issue, the place that Tyreek wanted to play. If you believe these quotes that were basically meaning that the Chiefs allowed Tyreek to select his location to be traded to, well, I have a problem with that because I just don't philosophically agree with this. Maybe I'm just old school, but you sign a contract, you follow through with it, right? He still had a year left on his deal. He should have been coming back and playing for it. Now I get trying to renegotiate and all that, and maybe the money stuff falls through. Why does the player with a year left get to pick where he goes? Now, the idea that the organization went with was that they didn't want to leave a player upset with his contract and still on the roster. So if you're to that point as the Chiefs and you've decided you're not going to sign him for that much money, at that point, you need to get as much value out of him as possible, right? You need to get as much value out of him as possible. And I don't think they did. I mean, Do you think that the Patriots would let one of their players go and pick another team to be traded to when they had 1 year left on the contract? No, it's a different philosophy, right? The Patriots would be like, who cares? Who cares if he's upset? He's under contract. Come do your job. And if you decide to trade him, like I said, why does he get to pick where he goes? Is this the NBA? I mean, come on. You need to do what's right with the organization, not an outgoing player. So yes, Veach does know what he's doing. Yes, he's a competent general manager, but I just don't agree philosophically with not paying up on a $24 million a year deal because that's really what it was. And I don't agree with letting Tyreek pick his final destination and not getting the maximum value back for him, like maybe the Jets could have given up their 10th overall pick. But what do you think? Do you actually philosophically agree with Veach? That's just fine. I know this is a philosophical, personnel discussion. Maybe you agree that Tyreek should have been allowed to pick where he went. Leave me the comments below. Maybe you're old school like me, and you're like, no way, he should have not have been able to pick where he went. He should have come played out this contract with the Chiefs. Leave those comments below as well. And hey, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the Red and Gold Report and hit the notification bell, all those good buttons, or you'll never see these videos. Thanks for watching, and go Chiefs!